been an amazing year, 2017 and 2018, looking at different adjuvant therapy trials. The first one that was published and then approved by the FDA was the Checkmate 238 trial, which was a randomized trial of ipilimumab, which was the current standard of care for adjuvant therapy in terms of immunotherapy, versus an anti-PD-1 drug, which was nivolumab. This was a randomized phase 3 trial for patients who had node-positive disease. The efficacy showed that the nivolumab, the anti-PD-1 drug, was not only more effective than ipilimumab, but was also less toxic. So it became a no-brainer to really switch from ipilimumab to nivolumab. The hazard ratios in terms of efficacy were not quite 50%. They're actually 0.65 or 65%. So an absolute reduction of 35% in terms of efficacy, in terms of looking at disease-free endpoints. In terms of patients who have a BRAF mutation, they are eligible to receive the combination of the BRAF and the MEK inhibitor. The trial that was published very recently was the COMBI-AD trial, which was a randomized trial versus a placebo control. And it was the combination of the BRAF inhibitor and the MEK inhibitor together, again for patients who had nodal involvement. This was a remarkably impressive trial in terms of the results, in that I don't think I've ever seen an adjuvant therapy trial that was as strongly positive as this one in any disease state related to cancer. The hazard ratio for this was 0.38, I think, so almost a 75% reduction in disease-free events versus placebo control. There was no crossover in this trial, and we're still waiting for the long-term survival outcomes. But this certainly became something that is very exciting for patients who have the BRAF mutation. In terms of toxicity, close to 20-some-odd% actually discontinued because of toxicity, but these toxicities were not necessarily long-lasting. So certainly this is a very effective therapy for patients, but only specifically for the patients who have the BRAF mutation. The Keynote-054 trial, which was sponsored by the ERTC, was an anti-PD-L1 trial looking at pembrolizumab, again versus placebo as opposed to versus ipilimumab. The interesting thing about this trial was that patients who failed on trial and were randomized to the placebo control arm could actually cross over and receive pembrolizumab later. So it was an interesting endpoint in looking at the use of anti-PD-L1 drugs either early or late. But in terms of the primary endpoint, which was disease-free survival, there was a clear difference. And the hazard ratio was 0.58. So again, almost 50% reduction in events of patients who were treated with the pembrolizumab drug. In terms of FDA approval, currently the BRAF-MEK combination is approved by the FDA for patients who have BRAF mutated tumors. The nivolumab, based on the 238 trial, has also been approved by the FDA. The application for approval to the FDA for pembrolizumab has been received, and it would be a complete surprise if the FDA did not approve pembrolizumab in the adjuvant setting for patients who have node-positive disease.